A little bit of backstory about this case. This investigation into the death of Nevaeh and her mother has spanned more than 2 months. Sumter police say they found the body of Cherie Bradley in her home on August 5th. The next day, Bradley's boyfriend, Dante Johnson, was arrested, and police say he confessed to killing both of the victims. After weeks of searching, though, on August 26th, the investigators say forensic evidence led them to believe that Nevaeh had been murdered. Now, police say Johnson killed both victims with a large folding knife. On September 19th, Johnson returned to court where a judge announced probable cause for 5 charges, including the murders of Nevaeh and Cherie. Now, one thing about this case that has captured the headlines is this family is holding out hope that Nevaeh possibly is alive. Now, of course, that may have changed in the last month or so. Things may have changed after police came out with the information that they thought that Nevaeh had, in fact, been murdered. Looks like that news conference is starting now. We want to give you a listen.
Share with our community. I want to first talk you the order of events. I will do an opening to bring us from August the 5th to today's date.
That as a community of, at the community of Sumter as a whole, whether that...
And this is breaking news this afternoon that the remains of 5-year-old Nevaeh Adams have been found. They found them last Friday in a landfill where they had been searching for a month to find that little girl's remains.
That's right. Officials saying they began their search August 25th when they found her mother, Cherie Bradley, wrapped in a carpet in the family apartment. The mother had 3 children. They were able to find those other 2 children. Nevaeh was not found. They continued searching until August 21st, and that's, of course, when they contacted Governor Henry McMaster, as well as all of the agencies that you just saw located there in that press conference that helped with this search effort. Just a moment ago, we heard from Gerald Diaz. He is the family attorney, and he says the family's hearts are heavy, and he is asking everyone to keep them in prayer.
And he called this a collective group of the entire state coming together in a common cause for the families involved to find Nevaeh's remains. And now a number of officials have discussed this evening the extensive process that went into trying to find Nevaeh Adams' remains. Of course, it started right after the crime happened, where police said they thought that they might have a 12 to 14-hour window to try and find Nevaeh. But at one point, when they collected forensic evidence on the scene and determined that Nevaeh had in fact been murdered, they started doing an extensive search through the landfill because Dante Johnson, the suspect who was arrested, said that he put Nevaeh's body in a dumpster. So of course that led their search to the landfills, where they went through 4 million pounds of materials to try and find her. Again, they talked about the immense nature of this operation.
That's right. And Chief Keith Peel with the Sumter Police Department saying that this has taken an emotional toll on the entire community as a whole. We saw vigils, we saw prayer vigils, we saw people coming together. We saw so many people for that amount of time that they were searching for her, still holding out hope. We saw the family come in to sit down for this press conference, and everyone's thoughts and prayers are going out to them at this hour as they are hearing them explain the news, show the drones that were used, the canine that were used in the landfill, all of the different people who helped getting shot so that they could get into those landfills to do the search that was necessary. So definitely a story that our Alexis Frazier, who is at that press conference, will continue to follow for us and bring us updates on the news at 6 and 11.
And as soon as this news conference is over, we can expect to go back out there. We did see video of the family, Nevaeh Adams' family, there in that news conference. Of course, we hope to maybe get a chance to hear from them. We've heard from the attorney, but again, we'll have a complete update coming up later in the show, and of course tonight at 6.
Yeah, we'll be right back after this quick break.
Welcome back to the news at 5. We've been following along with a breaking news conference that's happening in Sumter right now, where the police chief is currently answering questions. Today, they have announced the news that the remains of 5-year-old Nevaeh Adams were found last Friday in a landfill after a month of extensive searching there and searching through 4 million pounds of materials.
That's right. And as you may remember, or if you are just now tuning in or not familiar with this case, this search started back on August 25th when they found 5-year-old Nevaeh Adams' mother, Cherie Adams, in their Sumter apartment. They found her body wrapped up inside of a rug, and the suspect at the time, who was charged with the mother's murder, confessed to putting 5-year-old Nevaeh inside of a dumpster. That search lasted until October 21st, and that's when they determined that the remains, in fact, were hers, even though the night that they found her mother, Cherie Adams, they had determined that there was blood at the scene that they said indicated that it was Nevaeh.
Yeah, and they made that determination a little later on in their investigation that Nevaeh Adams was in fact killed. They believe that Dante Johnson murdered both Nevaeh and her mother, Cherie Bradley, with a long folding knife of some sort. Now, the suspect, Dante Johnson, is facing a number of charges, both the murders of Cherie Bradley and Nevaeh Adams. We expect to follow along, of course, with that court case as well. But this has been an extensive search. The police chief called last Friday a bittersweet moment because what they said was that they believe that the best chance of finding any remains was a 5-week window that started from the point when this crime happened.
Yeah.
And that was fairly close to when the search started happening to when they actually found her remains last Friday. He called it a bittersweet day. Of course, the family has hoped for closure in this case. They got a little bit of that on Friday.
Unfortunately, it had to turn out that the closure came to this end, and the family attorney spoke just a while ago saying that the family's hearts were heavy, asking everyone to keep them in their thoughts and prayers. Also, law enforcement saying that they, quote, knew that this was going to be a daunting task, and they called in as much help as they could. So all the people that you saw there standing at that press conference had a hand in locating the remains of Nevaeh Adams.
And ABC Columbia's Alexis Frazier is there at that news conference. She's been following along as well. We'll expect to have an update from her and what she saw and heard at that news conference coming up tonight at 6.
We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to ABC Columbia News at 5. We have been following breaking news at this hour out of the Sumter Police Department.
Yeah, where the police chief there has given the update that the remains of 5-year-old Nevaeh Adams, who they've been looking for since August in a murder case where her and her mother were both murdered, that they found her remains in a landfill last Friday. ABC Columbia's Alexis Frazier joins us live from the police department there with what she's heard while there. Alexis.
Yeah, guys, and unfortunately, ABC Columbia News.
All right, Alexis has been sitting there through that press conference, and will bring us more on ABC Columbia News at 6 and 11. A lot of information coming out of this press conference.
Tragic end. The police chief again called it a bittersweet end to that search that they've been doing for months now, since August. They showed drone video there inside that police department news conference room showing the extensive landscape involved and the process that went into organizing everything, and that they had to get everything laid out before they could even go in to start searching for the remains there.
Yeah.
He talked about the fact that of all of the police departments involved, all the agencies involved, it doesn't matter what badge you wore, who you were, or what your involvement in this was. Everybody was impacted by what happened.
Yeah, and especially the community. We saw a lot of people in the community coming out in hopes that 5-year-old Nevaeh was still alive, and the family was holding out hope as well. So there were prayer vigils, and there were people coming together. They were on foot doing searches. The police had canine. They had drones. I mean, they had 9 trucks that they said actually went to the landfill that the police were not aware of. They did confiscate those and search them, and still no sight of Nevaeh until last Friday at 11 p.m. when they located those remains.
And one thing that you wouldn't even have thought of that would go into this, there are experts out there when they get in touch with the Center for Missing Children, that there are people who have done this before, that have gone through landfills and are specialized in this kind of process. That's amazing that there are people that have had to go through this before and know what it takes to search through millions of pounds of trash, debris, garbage trucks themselves, splitting it all up. An amazing process. You know, a lot of hard work went into this for sure, but a tragic ending.
Tragic ending for sure. We'll be back right after this quick break.
I want to bring you back to the breaking news update involving the search for 5-year-old Nevaeh Adams, as police have worked for months to try and find her remains after it was determined that she and along with her mother were both murdered back in August.
Yes, Alexis Frazier with ABC Columbia News has been at that press conference following this breaking news and joins us live now with information about exactly what she heard from that press conference.
All right, we don't have Alexis, but obviously this has been a case that has spanned a couple of months. They found out on Friday. We learned today that on Friday, search crews who have been digging through a landfill found the remains of 5-year-old Nevaeh Adams. They searched for months, digging through 4 million pounds of debris. They searched through trucks. They searched through multiple landfills, not just one up in Sumter, but also in Richland County as well. But today at the news conference, Sumter Police, they showed video of the landfill where they searched and how they had to dissect the landfill, break it down into parts so that they could easily search through it. And before they even got their hands into it, they had to get everything divided to have an easier time searching through that.
They did. They searched exactly for a month because that was information that was given to them by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They said that the best case scenario would be that amount of time. So, of course, we're going to continue to follow this story and bring you the very latest as it continues to develop on the other side of the break for the News at 6.